Gum Gurupyo Namah. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga, the unified path to the Supreme Being. Introduction. This chapter offers a profound vision of reality, unifying seemingly dualistic concepts. It introduces the metaphor of the cosmic fig tree, which is known as Ashvattha, to represent the cycle of worldly existence, emphasizing the need to sever attachments through non-attachment. Bhagavan Shri Krishna reveals himself as the Supreme Being, or Purushottama, the foundation of the Absolute, transcending both the changing and unchanging aspects of reality. He teaches that divine immanence exists within all beings and that liberation is achieved by recognizing this truth and surrendering to Him. The chapter stresses the importance of transcending the gunas and even the pull of Vedic rituals to realize the ultimate unified reality. Shloka 1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moola Mada Shakam Ashvattam Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Saveda Vitnt. Shloka translation. Sri Bhagavan said, they speak of an unexpanded sacred fig tree with roots extending upwards and branches extending downwards, whose leaves are sacred verses. He who knows it is one who has Vedic knowledge. Commentary. This opening verse of chapter 15 introduces us to a profound mystery. This principle, explained by Lord Krishna himself, is a highly secret doctrine that must be distilled from symbolic obscurities and not be understood in a cryptic sense. The central symbol here is the Ashvattha, or universal fig tree, whose roots extend upwards and whose branches extend downwards, a contradictory image that requires careful contemplation and analysis. This tree is no ordinary tree. It is the tree that represents samsara, the cycle of relative existence. Every detail of this tree is important, representing aspects of our worldly attachments. The branches growing both upwards and downwards symbolize the different values that bind us together. The branches growing upwards embody values associated with holiness and religious practices, while the branches growing downwards represent values associated with earthly realities and tangible experiences. Most importantly, this tree has two sets of roots, one above and one below, both of which bind us to the matrix of action. As Bhagavan Shri Krishna later advises, both of these roots must be cut off with the sword of non-attachment. This marks a radical act that negates manifestation itself. To realize the Supreme, one must not only be free from the bonds of empirical existence, but also destroy the root of manifestation. This is an extremely difficult task, and in mystical traditions, the mercy of the Supreme often comes only after facing trials. Therefore, the Ashvattha tree is not just a passive symbol, but a challenge that tests our resolve to transcend the limitations of worldly existence. The leaves of this tree, representing the sacred verses of the Vedas, further complicate the mystery. Lord Krishna suggests that even the most revered scriptures can bind us to the cycle of samsara if we cling to them. To truly know this tree, to become a Vedic wise person, one must understand the truth that lies at its core, that it is a symbol of the relative matrix of life and a structure that expresses values that must be transcended to reach the Supreme. This is not just an intellectual understanding. It is a profound, perceptual understanding that demands a complete shift in our perception of reality. Shloka 2. Adaschordvam prasrita tasya shaka guna pravritta vishaya pravalaha adascha mulanya anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya-loke. Shloka translation. Its branches, nourished by the qualities of nature, extend from below and above. Its buds are sense objects, and its roots, bound by the karmic actions of the human world, extend downward. Commentary. This verse delves deeper into the anatomy of the Ashwatha, revealing how the very fabric of existence sustains its growth. The tree's branches, extending both skyward and earthward, are nourished by the gunas, which are the fundamental qualities of nature. The branches that reach towards the heavens draw sustenance from sattva guna, the quality of purity and clarity, giving rise to values associated with spiritual aspirations and religious expressions. Conversely, the branches that delve into the earth find nourishment in tamas guna, the quality of inertia and darkness, fostering values rooted in the tangible and material aspects of life. And those branches that spread horizontally, representing the world of action and interaction, are invigorated by rajas guna, the quality of activity and passion. The tree's buds or sprouts represent the ever-expanding desires and interests of humankind, reaching out to grasp the objects of sensory pleasure. This imagery blurs the lines between the subjective and objective, as the sprouts symbolize both the senses that perceive and the sense objects that are perceived, highlighting how our desires intertwine with the external world. Beyond the main roots that ascend towards the divine, there are also roots that burrow downwards, forming a complex network that traps individuals within the intricate maze of ritualistic practices and traditional beliefs. This tangled web of roots represents the obligations, taboos, and customs that bind us to family, tribal, and societal norms, both spiritual and secular. These downward-reaching roots symbolize the force of necessity, an earthly pull that originates not from the heavens but from the very ground of existence. This necessity, considered beginningless, extends to the subtle realms of the unmanifested, mirroring the upward roots that stretch towards the transcendental supreme. Furthermore, these roots represent the influence of ancestral traditions and deeply ingrained values, shaping our actions and perceptions through the weight of the past. They are the retrospective values that hold us to the familiar. Shloka 3-4. Narupamasyeha tatopalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishta ashvattamenam suvirudamulam asanga shastrena dridena chitva tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha tameva chatyam purusham prapatye yata pravritti prasrita purani. Shloka translation. Neither its form, nor its end, nor its beginning, nor its foundation is understood here. Having cut down this sacred fig tree with its roots firmly fixed by the weapon of permanent non-attachment, then, thinking only, I seek refuge in that primordial man from whom the active relative expression has flowed since ancient times. They should find the path of non-return. Commentary. The Ashwatha, this cosmic tree, represents a structured system of interconnected values, a relativistic matrix that defines our experience of life. To truly grasp the absolute, this intricate web must be systematically dismantled. As these verses reveal the tree's true nature, its form, its origins, its ultimate end remains beyond ordinary comprehension, shrouded in mystery. This Ashwatha is not merely a metaphor. It embodies a comprehensive philosophical perspective encompassing the entire realm of relative values and their intricate relationships. It represents the pragmatic lived experience of the world, a tapestry woven from actions and their consequences. To break free from this cycle, Bhagavan Shri Krishna urges a resolute severing of the roots that anchor this tree in the realm of cyclic existence. These roots, both celestial and terrestrial, bind us to the cycle of samsara. On one hand, we are trapped by values associated with the sacred, with outward displays of piety and religious devotion. On the other, we are entangled in a complex web of ancestral traditions, tribal customs, and ingrained societal norms. But these forms of attachment, whether seemingly pure or deeply ingrained, must be eradicated with the formidable weapon of non-attachment. This call for decisive non-attachment emphasizes the necessity of a strong, unwavering resolve. It demands more than a half-hearted attempt at detachment. It requires a determined and unwavering commitment to liberation. Only when these conditions are met, when the roots of attachment are completely severed, can one truly embark on the path towards the Absolute. Therefore, the only path that can be sought after the tree has been cut with the weapon of non-attachment is to seek refuge in the Purushottama, or the Supreme Being, who is the source of all relativistic manifestation, and to find that path where there is no return. Shloka 5. Nirmana moha jita sangatosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha samyaihi gacchantya muda padamavyayam tat. Shloka translation. Those who are free from pride and delusion, who have overcome the defects of attachment, who are ever established in the soul, who have withdrawn their lust, who are liberated from the dualistic factors known as pleasure and pain, and who are not bewildered, enter the path of life that never decays. Commentary. A mountain climber preparing for a difficult ascent must be free from excess baggage, have a clear mind, maintain a steady focus, control their impulses, remain balanced in all conditions, and possess the wisdom to navigate the path. Only then can they reach the summit. This verse emphasizes that liberation is not merely a matter of intellectual understanding, but requires a complete transformation of character. It highlights the importance of humility, detachment, self-awareness, sense control, equanimity, and wisdom. These qualities are essential for transcending the cycle of birth and death and attaining the imperishable state of liberation. It is about moving beyond the ego and into the true self. It is about understanding that the world is full of dualities and that one must move beyond those dualities. Shloka 6. Natat bhashayate suryo nashashanko napavakaha yadgatva nanivartante taddama paramam mama. Shloka translation. Neither the sun nor the moon nor fire illuminates it. It is my supreme abode, from having reached which they do not return. Commentary. This shloka speaks of the Supreme as a transcendental reality beyond the reach of ordinary perception. Unlike the manifested world illuminated by the sun, moon, and fire, the Supreme is self-luminous. Even though the sun, moon, and fire represent aspects of the Supreme's manifestation, they cannot illuminate the transcendental abode. They are merely reflections of the original source. None of them fully capture the essence of the Supreme. Attaining this abode signifies liberation, a state beyond the cycle of birth and death. It's not merely a physical destination, but a transformation of consciousness, where the limitations of conditioned existence are transcended. While some interpret this as a permanent departure from the manifested world, it can also be understood as a release from mindless repetition, allowing life to flow unimpeded. The journey of the soul is to navigate from the darkness of ignorance to the light of the supreme abode, from the illusion of separation to the truth of unity, and ultimately from mortality to immortality. Shloka 7. Mamevamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha mana shastani indriyani prakritistani karshati. Shloka translation. A qualitative unit of mind which is eternal, having become life in the world of life, attracts to itself the senses, of which the mind is its sixth element, abiding in nature. Commentary. The Bhagavad Gita offers a unique perspective on the nature of the individual soul, a perspective that distinguishes it within philosophy. This verse highlights that the soul is not merely a separate entity, but an eternal, qualitative fragment of the Supreme Lord Himself. This is a crucial understanding that often eludes even seasoned scholars. To understand this, we must consider the distinct nature of the physical and spiritual realms. The physical body, composed of matter, is bound by space, time, and change. It's divisible, finite, and constantly transforming. The spirit, on the other hand, is beyond these limitations, indivisible, infinite, and timeless. The bridge between these seemingly disparate realms lies in the gunas, the three qualities of nature. These gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, act as a medium, mirroring the light of the spirit's intelligence in varying degrees. Sattva provides a clear reflection, rajas a distorted one, and tamas an obscured one. Each individual soul is essentially a portion of the divine light, circumscribed and reflected through a unique combination of these gunas. This is how the Lord animates the physical body. It's the divine presence that gives rise to the inner workings of consciousness, ego, mind, intellect, and the senses. Thus, the individual soul is a reflection of the divine within the material realm. Shloka 8. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyotkramatishvaraha grihit vaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Shloka translation. When the Lord takes a body and when He departs from it, just as the wind carries away scents from their places, He takes these and goes. Commentary. This verse delves into the Gita's revalued understanding of reincarnation, a concept often misinterpreted. It emphasizes that the Lord, not merely an individual soul, is the active agent in the process of taking and leaving bodies. When the Lord enters a body, He brings with Him the subtle impressions of the mind and senses, much like the wind carries the scent of flowers. This implies that the essence of our experiences, our thoughts, and our desires are carried forward from one life to the next, not as independent entities, but as part of the Lord's ongoing journey. Upon death, the circumscribed spirit, which is essentially the Lord's presence, withdraws back to its source, taking these subtle impressions with it. When the Lord chooses to manifest again, these impressions or vasanas influence the formation of a new body. This perspective emphasizes that life in its truest essence is divine. It originates from God, is sustained by God, returns to God, and is reincarnated by God. The limitations we perceive, birth, death, pain, pleasure, are merely phenomenal appearances, temporary manifestations within the grand scheme of divine existence. This understanding underscores the enduring presence of the divine within every aspect of life and the Lord's active role in the journey of the soul. Shloka 9. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam granam eva cha adhishtaya manaschayam Vishayanupasevate. Shloka translation. Presiding over the senses of hearing, sight, touch, taste, smell, and mind, he acquires for himself the values pertaining to the senses. Commentary. This verse emphasizes the immanence of the Lord within the body, highlighting that the Lord is the conscious principle that animates and experiences the world through the senses and mind. It clarifies that the Lord is not merely a passive observer but an active participant in sensory experience. This understanding is crucial for recognizing the divine presence within oneself and all beings. It is important to understand that the Lord is the one who experiences the world through our senses and that the mind is also a tool that the Lord uses. Shloka 10. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. Shloka translation. Conditioned by the modes of nature, whether departing, remaining, or experiencing, the foolish cannot see. Those with wisdom eye can. Commentary. This highlights the importance of spiritual wisdom in perceiving the Lord's presence. It is important to realize that the gunas can obscure our perception of the divine, and only those who have cultivated inner vision can truly see. It is also crucial to understand that the gunas create a veil over the truth and that the Lord is always present, but only the wise can see. If the wisdom shared in this channel has been helpful, please subscribe and support the spread of eternal Dharma. These verses are in Sanskrit and there are limitations in the language we are attempting to translate them into. Therefore, the translation may not be perfectly accurate in every instance. To gain a deeper understanding of any content that's been posted on this channel, you should present your questions to Guru and you will receive answers for them. This is the path of spiritual practice for our journey towards the Supreme. You can submit your questions by commenting below or by contacting us via this phone number +94 74280 7193. May the blessings of Guru be upon you all. Gum Gurupyo Namah.